Alright, so you've taken the CAT and now you want to take the GMAT, but how is the GMAT different? What are the kind of resources that you're gonna need? And most importantly, what are the kind of prep strategies that you need? That is something that we're gonna be answering in this video. So without further ado, let's get started. Let's get a quick refresher on the GMAT. The GMAT, like the CAT, is split into 3 sections with sectional time limits. The first is the verbal section, which has 23 questions to be solved in 45 minutes. The second is the quantitative reasoning section, which is 21 questions to be solved in 45 minutes. And last but definitely not the least is the data insight section. 20 questions have to be solved in 45 minutes. Also, you get one optional 10-minute break in the GMAT after the first or the second section. So that's a big relief for people who want to take a breather and approach a new section with a fresh mind. Let's get into each section one by one. First is the verbal section. An obvious question is, how is the GMAT verbal section different from the CAT verbal? Now, there are quite a few differences we must be aware of. The first is that the GMAT is very heavy on the critical reasoning part and reading comprehension, to the point that there is nothing apart from these two topics in the verbal section. There is no para summary, there is no para jumbles. GMAT just has brutal critical thinking, which can get tiring over the length of the exam. And the truly interesting part is that these questions are adaptive in nature, meaning if you get one question right, the next one increases in difficulty level. Similarly, if you get a question wrong, the next is slightly on the easier side. So how is it that we should approach the GMAT verbal section, which is widely considered more difficult than the CAT verbal? The good news here is that the RC practice that we did during our CAT journey is really going to come in handy for GMAT RCs. The reading stamina, the reading speed, the retention that CAT builds is readily transferable to the GMAT. However, what is different here is in terms of RCs is the fact that RCs are moderate in length. They are not very lengthy, but they have a more dense vocabulary. And most importantly, each question has 5 options. So you have one more option that you need to be mindful of. But apart from that, CAT and GMAT RC experience is mostly identical. Now here's where the GMAT is different, and this is where the GMAT gets really challenging as well, which is in the critical reasoning section. Here we have a bunch of question types that we've already seen in the CAT. Question types such as strengthening the argument, weakening the argument, main idea or primary purpose type of questions, assumption type of questions, and so on. But what sets the GMAT apart are the different types of question types further, such as bold-faced. So what that means is a couple of lines in a short paragraph would be highlighted and the role of these sentences in the paragraph would be asked. Another question type that is different is resolve the paradox, wherein seemingly contradictory phenomenon would need to be explained using one of 5 options. And the third one is complete the argument, wherein of course goes without saying we have to complete the argument. So how do we get GMAT ready for the verbal section? I'm going to be recommending you mainly 3 sources. The first one is the Critical Reasoning Bible. The second is the GMAT official guide. And last but not the least is going to be RC99. So let's one by one quickly look into each one of these resources. Alright, I've talked about the CR Bible many times and I've kept on recommending it so many times that I've lost count. But what is it that's so important about this one is that it builds your CR basics, your CR essentials. It has an entire table of contents, what kind of questions can be asked, how to approach each question type. All of that is covered in this particular PDF. I want you to go through it. It shows it has 385 pages, but trust me, once you get started, you can get done with this thing in a week. And it becomes the basis of your critical thinking. This book truly works. I cannot reiterate the importance of it so much. Mostly people let go of it just looking at its length, but trust me, it's only a week's effort. The amount of clarity that you'll get in the CR section after completing this is going to be truly something you won't even believe right now. So I'd really recommend you go through this particular resource. Next crucial resource are your GMAT official guides. This is made by GMAT themselves, which is the conducting body of the GMAT. And the most important part about this book is these are the questions right from the makers of the GMAT. So you won't find anything that is more representative of what the actual exam is going to throw at you than this. In addition to that, we also should appreciate the fact that it has questions based on a difficulty level. So you can get easy, then medium, then difficult questions. So this really helps out someone who is starting to get started, who's trying to get started from the absolute basics. So this is yet another resource that you should definitely check out. I'm going to be linking all these different things down in the video description. The next one is the resource that was the first resource that I did in terms of RCs, the RC99. It has 99 RCs as the name suggests. And most importantly, it has answer explanation for each of the options. So I'd highly recommend this as well. Again, link is down in the description below. With that said, let's now get into the quant section. Now I'm going to say this in one line. If you've prepared well for the CAT quants, GMAT quants is not going to trouble you at all. And this is very good news. With that said, I'll still give you a rough idea about the kind of topics that come up in the GMAT quants. We see, ratio proportion. There is mainly arithmetic and algebra, ratio proportions, SICI, profit and loss, and all the main arithmetic topics. Additionally, we also have basics of algebra such as linear, quadratic equations, and so on. So I have not really covered the complete syllabus here, but I'm going to be linking it down below in the video description, where you can check out the entire GMAT syllabus in order to be clear of what all could be asked. But most importantly, geometry, cubic equations, and none of that is essentially covered under the GMAT syllabus. So this could be a huge relief for people who don't like geometry, coordinate geometry, and so on. So this is the great part about the GMAT. You don't need to do anything more in the GMAT quants, given you have prepared well for the CAT quants. But let's say you're a little on edge about your quant skills, I still have a few resources for you as well. First is what I've already mentioned, the GMAT official guide. This covers not just verbal but also quants and data insights. So when you complete the official guide, you would have a very good understanding of the kind of questions that actually show up in the quant section. Additionally, this is the best resource for prep because the book covers concepts first, then it covers concepts on the basis of difficulty level, and essentially the things I've already covered are what makes this resource very good. Now the link for that is also going to be in the video description. For quants, I have a few more resources that I'll be linking down in the Google Drive link below. So stay tuned for that. Last but definitely not the least is the data insights section. This section is a new addition on the GMAT and one of the trickiest ones to prepare for, because the questions that come in this section are something that I've not seen repeat in any other exam. Most importantly, data sufficiency is also a major part of this section. So I want to also highlight what kind of other questions also come in, and I want to take you through a quick example in order to make you understand what is the type of question that could come up in this particular section that makes it so tricky. So the main important part here is that this question that we are looking at right now is from the question type two-part analysis, wherein we have to figure out the answer to two questions, and getting either one wrong makes the whole question go wrong. So that right there is a major difficulty. One small error can lead to a major detriment. So like this, there are a few more question types wherein we have a data set and two or sometimes three questions, all of which must be right to get the entire question right. So this is one of the first challenges that make the data insight section so difficult. Now, what about the resources? How do we go about prepping for this section? Since we have no background on this from our CAT journey, here as well, the GMAT official guide is going to come in handy. Additionally, there is a guide specific to data insight. So in case you're already confident with verbal and quants and you only want to focus on the data insight section, you can find questions catering to only that section. So that is also going to be linked down in the description below. Next is a very important resource, the GMAT Club. This is a community of people who have been preparing or have aced the GMAT. This has a ton of resources for prep for all the sections. So wherein people have also discussed the answers. I'll quickly be taking you through how you can search for different question types and also filter for different levels of difficulty. So this is a quick one about the GMAT Club. So if you click on the hamburger menu over here, you can see the question bank. Where is the question bank? The question banks is right here. Once you go to the question bank, you see problem solving. Problem solving essentially means your quant section. Problem solving, you can select the difficulty level, you can select what particular topic you want the questions to be from. Same goes for the critical reasoning, the reading comprehension sections, data sufficiency, and so on. So then finally, once you have it all ticked, you can go down below and finally you can search and you get questions related to your particular difficulty level and the topic that you want to practice. So I would say this is a very, very, very crucial and helpful resource that you should definitely check out. Next is the mock taking strategy, where now what are the places where you would find the mocks? First one is the MBA.com official mocks, then Experts Global is yet another place where you would find mocks. Similarly, there is eGMAT, Magoosh, as well as GMAT Club mocks. So these are all the places where you can find not only there are trial mocks as well as paid mocks. So these are the main places where you would find mocks. So this alone would give you close to 20 mocks, and if you practice those well, if you analyze those well, this should definitely be enough in getting you to your target score. Now, a little bit more about mock taking and the frequency of it. I would say that taking one mock a week in the initial stages is must for everyone who is looking to get used to the exam pattern. And once you book your exam date, which should ideally be a month or two in advance, you should start taking two mocks a week. Finally, I need you to also understand the concept of the diagnostic test. What is this test? This test is going to be the first test that you take before even beginning your GMAT prep. This test will give you a score which will help you identify where you stand in relation to the competition. Also, this will help you identify your key areas where you lack, and if you only need to fix your weaknesses instead of trying to cover everything, you would be at a huge advantage in terms of the time you would take in order to prepare for this exam. So if I were to cover the whole prep strategy, this is how I would ask you to proceed. The first is the diagnostic test to understand your weaknesses and strengths. And depending upon that, you can set your timelines of when you want to take the GMAT. The next is work on the different sections through the resources that I've mentioned, and most importantly, ensuring that mock taking during the preparation phase as well. Then after that, I need you to keep on assessing yourself through the journey, not procrastinating booking the final date, because what happens with the GMAT is that people keep on procrastinating so much that they end up not taking the test for years before finally giving up. So I don't want you to be that person. And as soon as you are someone somewhere within the 60 points range of your test score, you should ideally book a date, ideally a month or 1.5 months in the future. And that is mainly it. So once you utilize those resources, purchase a prep module if required from all the different mock testing sites that I've talked about. They also have a prep module. From there, you can do your extensive mock taking and finally book your exam slot. So this is mainly what I had to talk about the GMAT. Of course, I'll be making another video talking about for people who are taking the GMAT from scratch, not having prepared for the CAT at all. We'll be discussing that as well. So subscribe if you haven't already. And if you need me to cover anything else in this landscape, do hit me up in the comment section below. With that, that's a little bit from my side, and bye bye.